Welcome back, everyone, to Bobby King Iraqi Dinar News, your trusted source for the truth behind the headlines. I'm your host, Bobby King, and today we're diving into a breaking and explosive update, a new U.S. threat to Iraq. The U.S. State Department is warning that the passage of the Popular Mobilization Forces law will completely change the nature of America's security partnership with Baghdad. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. The U.S. State Department warns, the Popular Mobilization Forces law could rewrite the security relationship between Washington and Iraq. Baghdad, a political storm is brewing in Iraq's capital. On August 14th, the Iraqi Parliament is set to cast its final vote on one of the most controversial pieces of legislation in recent memory, the Popular Mobilization Force Law. If passed, it would grant the PMF, a coalition of armed militias born out of Iraq's fight against ISIS, formal legal status as an official branch of Iraq's security forces. The decision is already straining U.S.-Iraq relations. In a pointed statement, the U.S. State Department warned Baghdad that the law changes the nature of our bilateral security partnership, U.S. Secretary of State Rubio went further, claiming the legislation would entrench Iranian influence and armed terrorist groups, undermining Iraq's sovereignty. For Washington, this is more than a symbolic shift. It is a red flag. The PMF's controversial origins, the Popular Mobilization Forces, emerged in 2014 as an emergency measure, a loose coalition of volunteer militias, some nationalist, others openly aligned with Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They played a decisive role in pushing back ISIS when Iraqi forces were in retreat. But the end of the war against ISIS brought a more complicated question: what to do with tens of thousands of armed men loyal to commanders outside the regular military chain of command? For years, the PMF has existed in a legal gray area, officially part of Iraq's security apparatus, but functionally autonomous. The proposed law would erase that ambiguity, folding them entirely into the Iraqi armed forces and guaranteeing their salaries, ranks, and benefits. To some Iraqis, this is about honoring a wartime debt. These fighters defended our cities when the world doubted we could stand, said one Baghdad lawmaker. They deserve the same respect as our soldiers. To others, it's a dangerous gamble with Iraq's future. Why the U.S. is alarmed? Washington's concern is rooted in the PMF's deep ties to Tehran. Many of its most powerful factions, such as Kataib Hezbollah and Asayb al-Haq, openly pledge allegiance to Iran's supreme leader. The U.S. considers some of these groups terrorist organizations. By giving them a permanent, legal role in Iraq's armed forces, critics say Baghdad would effectively be institutionalizing Iranian military influence. You can't fold militias that answer to Tehran into your army and still call it an independent army, a Western diplomat in Baghdad told me. Rubio's statement was blunt. Pass this law, and Iraq is choosing a different security partner. You cannot have Washington and Tehran as equal guarantors of your sovereignty. This is not an empty threat. U.S. military aid, intelligence sharing, and counter-terrorism cooperation, pillars of Iraq's security since 2003, could be reduced or even severed. A deeper fear: Iraq as a puppet state among Iraq's reformists and independent voices. There's growing anxiety that the law could cement Iraq's status as a junior partner to Iran. Tehran's influence is already visible in political appointments, trade deals, and energy dependence. But the PMF law, opponents say, would be the most explicit concession yet, making Iraq's security forces a hybrid army in which Iran's allies hold as much sway as the national chain of command. In the words of one Kurdish parliamentarian, if we pass this law, we won't need to ask whether Baghdad takes orders from Tehran. The law itself will be the answer. The vote on August 14th, a decisive moment. The first and second readings of the bill sailed through Parliament earlier this year, with strong backing from Shiite political blocs. The third reading and final vote, scheduled for August 14th, is expected to be tense. Sunni and Kurdish lawmakers have threatened to walk out in protest, but they are unlikely to have the numbers to stop the bill if the Shiite majority remains united. Behind the scenes, U.S. diplomats have been lobbying heavily against the law, warning lawmakers of the consequences. Iranian envoys, meanwhile, are just as active, framing the law as a sovereign choice and a blow to foreign meddling. Between fear and hope, the stakes could not be higher. If the law passes, Iraq risks losing a cornerstone of its relationship with the United States, a relationship that, despite its flaws, has brought billions in aid, training for Iraqi forces, and a buffer against regional instability. But there is another possibility, one rooted in Iraq's long, painful history of navigating between larger powers. The PMF Law could, in theory, be implemented in a way that truly integrates its fighters into a non-sectarian, nationally controlled force. That would require unprecedented political will, strict oversight, and a real commitment to curbing Tehran's reach. This is a tall order, but not impossible. Iraq has, at times, surprised even its harshest critics. The resilience of its civil society, the pushback from youth-led protests, and the survival of democratic institutions through war and economic collapse are proof that the country is not without agency. A warning and a choice. The US warning is not just about security partnerships, it's about the kind of Iraq that will emerge in the next decade. Will it be a sovereign state, capable of balancing relations between East and West? Or will it slide deeper into the orbit of a single regional power? August 14th will not decide Iraq's fate in one day. But it will mark a line in the sand. The vote will be remembered, either as the moment Iraq asserted control over its own destiny, or as the day it handed the keys to someone else. In the streets of Baghdad tonight, the air is thick with uncertainty. Conversations in cafes, government offices, and barracks are all variations on the same question: who will truly command Iraq's future? For now, all eyes are on Parliament. The world is watching, and so is history. In the end, I want to ask all my friends watching to stay positive and patient, because patience truly is the key to success. Please subscribe to my channel and show your support. Wishing you all a wonderful day. Thank you so much.